Alright, so after reading this chapter, I found it kind of very interesting, if I say so myself. Um, Although I did find this entire book kind of interesting so far. So this chapter is the authoritarian playbook. So, let's just get started. The public attacks against me from high-profile elected officials or media personalities on the far right often provoked a wave of hate emails and social media posts. Many also appeared after occasions when I was profiled negatively on Fox nighttime programming, typically Tucker Carlson Tonight and the Ingram angle, each ranked at the top of American television viewership. Something else I have noticed about Fox News tactics: they have a familiar ring, at times even provoking flashbacks from my elementary school days when I first learned about Soviet propaganda. As a child, growing up in New England in the 1960s, I still remember hearing stories about Nikita Khrushchev banging his shoe on the podium at the United Nations General Assembly, or learning about the fiery exchanges between President John F. Kennedy and Khrushchev at their Vienna summit during the lead up to the Cuban Missile Crisis. And then I also reflect on the awful legacy of Soviet Russian targeting of both physicians and scientists, remembering a heinous doctor's plot conspiracy of 1953. And then I'm going to talk more. It says, on a similar note, between the old Soviet era Pravda newspaper, or the TASS news agency, and the tactics of the Fox News nighttime anchors, was that each launched campaigns to discredit their physicians and scientists of national prominence. For both the Soviet press and Fox News, physicians and scientists represented threats to the state and therefore became bona fide targets of propaganda. So then, talking about the science in the totalitarian state, linking anti-science attacks from the far right to an earlier Soviet era has several historical implications. In his now classic 1941 Foreign Affairs article titled "Science in the Totalitarian State," the former New York Times science writer Waldemar Kmefret examined that the then current state of scientific activities in Stalinist Russia and Nazi Germany. Then going further, it says, I emphasized with Hessen because, as he did, I worked hard to reach across the aisle, tried to diplomaticize vaccine and other targets of anti-science aggression from the far right. Going further, Soviet genetics, the legacy of Lysenko and Vavilov, whereas both Stalinism and Nazism rejected relativity physics, Nazi science perversely accepted the concepts of Mendelian genetics, although in a corrupted form that led to heinous experiments on twins by Josef Mengele and others. There are many dark stories of great scientists whose lives were destroyed through totalitarian oppression, but few are more chilling than the plight of Nikolai Vavilov, one of the leading Russian genetics of his generation. In the early 20th century, Vavilov was a scientist superstar with an international reputation. He pioneered Mendelian genetic approaches to agricultural botany, leading to improvements in cereal crop yields.